Alright guys, Anthony 4x4 diesel, we've got a 2008 120 Prado. Could be something a little bit different for you this time because straight away, look at that, you can see all the surface rust. So we're going to have a good look around this one, try and keep it down to about 10 minutes as usual. There is a couple, we had a little quick look around. Oh look, Nolothane bushes on the arm. So we're going to go through this one and have a bit of a look. There's a couple of different problems that that we don't always see in these other inspection videos. So look, I've got to be quite honest here, I haven't looked at this vehicle at all yet, okay, but I've been given the heads up, the sorts of things that we might see, but we're going to have a look for ourselves. And awesome, because the bash plates are off. Now one of the things I've been told about is the crank seal leak, and have a look at that. So if you see mess like that, okay, so that's pretty messy at both sides really. So the first thing that needs, it needs a good cleanup, because generally you wouldn't be able to tell what's what, but we can tell because the wet oil from the bottom, that is not the crankshaft seal, that's not the sealing behind the harmonic balancer there. That'll be the O-ring on that, up there on that crank sensor in there. If I said the crank, yeah, I said crank, not cam, because I always muck that up. The sensor's about 200 bucks. You can't buy the O-ring genuine separately, so you're gonna have to source your own O-ring on that one. Well, last time I checked anyway, in case my information's wrong. And it goes around, it's wet just around to that side. So that's not really bad. Like you can see, it's not dripping down. It's not a massive mess, but it's untidy. And if you want to fix it, that's what you need to do. You can unplug it up around this side. It's up sort of up the top there. You can see in the middle of the picture. It clips on a few places, some plastic clips you've got to be careful of in the front of the sump there. You can take it all out and give it a clean up, change your O-ring, clean out the hole. Bada bing. Now, what else we got? Go for a bit. Oh, so Nolothane bushes in the arms. So that is an option, but a lot of people complain that it's a harder ride because the poly bushes there are a lot harder than rubber bushes. There's a reason why Toyota use rubber bushes. Looks like it's had some lubrication of the joints over time, like it should have. That fuel filter doesn't look like it's been changed for a while, but looks don't tell you everything. Going down to the back now. I'm just having a quick. This is what I normally do. I'll go up and down a vehicle really quickly, and then I'll come back for seconds. Okay, something bolted in the back there. Could be, I haven't seen in the back, could be a storage system or something. That's cool, got no issues there. Nylock's good. We'll have a look under the bonnet and that a bit later in the video. Plenty of brake pads there. Suspension looks alright, other than, what are they? I don't know. Formula 4x4, what's that? Anyway, King Springs, I think, by the looks of it. Fuel filler hose looks original and stiff, so remember, just a reminder, if you've got an old 120, you might want to change that filler hose. We've provided the part number in other videos. Just search fuel filler hose. Just put the word in the search function on our channel. Just put filler or fuel hose, these sorts of things, and you'll find it. And subscribe, turn the bell on, and we'll have it again later on in another video. What do we got here? Brake pads are alright, no oil leaks there. Fuel tank looks good. I'm not checking for play on anything. I've been told the bearings haven't got any play in them. Oh look, the auto pan's been off by the looks of it. So you can see there a cork gasket with a lot of goop and stuff like that as well. So it's not genuine anymore, if you know what I mean. Who knows what. So that's things to look for. I like to see original. And if you're listening to me and my information, you would get, if you were going to take, it's up to you to take the pan off. I say, look, you don't need to do that. The filter, the pickup doesn't block. Nothing gets that dirty in there. You need to take the pan off. The magnets don't stop collecting stuff. It's the oil, guys. It's just the oil. It's up to you though. If you want to take it off, you can. But if you do, as I say, use genuine gasket. There's no need to change the filter or the pickup. But if you want to do that, use genuine, okay, is my advice. Around this side, just a bit of grease from the, propeller shaft. Looks like it's a bit wet around that plug there, below the starter motor. That's where, the usual sort of oil leak, we'll call that. This one's a bit hard to see, but it's wet enough there that I'd say that looks like it needs a new O-ring. So you order the O-ring in the cat. Once again, we've got that in other videos. Up the top, there's a bit of oil and stuff around. Okay, what do we got there? Look around. Wiring looks a bit different up there, so someone may have worked on it. Looks like it's a bit moved around. Well, looks like that wiring loom might not be clipped in properly up there. Hard to see at the moment because my head's not up there, the camera is, but anyway. So, if you're looking at a vehicle to purchase or trying to get it all fixed up, they're the sort of things you got to check. Has it been worked on? Is all the wiring loom clipped in properly? Over here, drive shaft, boots and everything. They look like, I'm just trying to work out, are they original, or that inner boot has definitely been changed. That's an aftermarket boot, so the boots may have been changed. The outer one could be original. It's 240 something thousand Ks this vehicle. It's a 2008. That's what the original inner boot looks like. So that's an original one. Okay, over this side, that's definitely genuine original as well. So at 240 odd K, you can see the grease. It starts sort of, we'll call it oozing, sweating out a little bit, but it's not a big deal, if you know what I mean. So you don't need to take any action at that point. That would be sort of a waste of time and money. The usual sort of sweat on the boot, we saw that at the start on the rack boot. And yeah, just interesting at the front here. Look at that, the way the surface rust on the chassis. We'll go and have a look at a bit more of the chassis in a minute, but just here. So what would I do with that? I'd give it a good clean up, give it a few good regular sprays of stuff. I'd put fish oil on that type of thing and just get some paint, touch-up paint, and give it a bit of a touch-up to make it look good. You know, it's certainly not going deep into the material, so I'm not worried about it. It's just more, just doesn't look good, you know. Check out this side. So this side, similar right at the front there, but not too bad once you get further up. So it looks like the suspensions. This vehicle's being prepared for a trip around Australia or something, I believe, if I remember correctly. So the rest of the chassis looks pretty good. Let's go around, yeah, that looks good. So it's kind of like plug missing there. Right, might want to replace that. The rock spray, it's done a bit of trips. Yeah, that fuel filler hose. There's no rust. It's not like it's mainly at the front more than anything. Normally it's the back of vehicles because they've got a tow bar and they're getting backed into salt water and they end up with a bit of surface rust under here. So that's interesting to see that the condition the rest of the vehicle's in. That plug missing again. There you go. Right. But the rest of the chassis looks good, so it's certainly not a big deal structurally or anything like that, I don't think. Those rubber flaps missing, we talked about that before. Not too worried. I've explained in other videos, even at full lock, the wheel doesn't throw anything up through there. So when you go through puddles, the water splashes from the bottom of the tyre under the vehicle. Nothing really goes up in there. So to be quite honest, on my vehicle, when mine had deteriorated, I'm not going to bother wasting my time replacing those. So it's up to you what you want to do though, if you're not sure what I mean. Here you go, the front's missing as well. Once again, even at full lock, all the rubbish gets thrown in on these guard liners. It doesn't get thrown all the way into there on the alternator, so that will stay clean. And it allows better access for inspection and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, the engineers did put it there for a reason, and they probably should know better than us, so maybe you should replace it. But yeah, on my vehicle, I'm not going to replace it. Interesting that, I wonder why it's had that rust and that going on right just at the front here. Maybe the front, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, needs more oil leaks, that'll fix it. But other than that, we'll have a bit more of a look around. I can't see anything else. It's definitely that inner boot been replaced. I still reckon that's an original shaft. And there's nothing to see here. That's about it really. The turbo, pretty dry. There's a little bit of oil on the bottom, fairly standard. Let's have a look under the bonnet and up top. Let's have a look around under the bonnet. So one of the first things I saw that, you know, I'm just going to be brief on it, the red wire without any split corrugated tubing on it. And the reason is, obviously, you know, it's coming from the battery. I can't see a fuse as yet at the other side. If that was to get hot anywhere, rub through, then it shorts out, the car burns to the ground. And we've seen vehicles with damage from things like that happening. I just note this one's one without ABS, and that's the one that's also got that sensor on the rear diff, so a little bit different, but that's another video. So what else we got here? Turbo from the top looks all right. Bit of an oil sweat at the back of the valve cover, but not a big deal really. Probably just, it could be cracked or it could be the top seal. Once again, we're thinking that maybe this has been worked on. I'm going to show you some more in a minute, just having a look around and letting you have a look around. You can put in the comments the things I missed. Obviously they're listing here because they've got a central dual force, so maybe that's coincidence, maybe not. What else we got here? There's a bolt sitting there, so that looks to me as if someone has tried to lift the engine. Now that could be they've replaced the engine mounts. It could be that, and they've used that arrangement there and bent that and then couldn't get it out again, or whatever the case may be, whatever, right? So whatever, I would definitely want to get that out. That would be so annoying. So I'd take the intercooler off. Oh yeah, it can be hard to unbolt that actually with the EGR cooler there, so I can see the problem they've got, but I would grab the bolt, bend the bracket a bit and get the bolt out. I don't care about the bent bracket, but I'll just want that bolt out. Anyway, the point is, it could have had an engine put in it, it could have had engine mounts changed, who knows? So there's something going on there with a bolt. Everything else looks fairly good. Let's just have a look at that. Is the wiring in the right place for the alternator? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Not rubbing on the pipes. Again, this positive wire coming around right on the edge of, upside down for a minute, on the edge of the steel, you know. I mean, it's probably going to be right. That insulation is pretty good, but you want to be sure. Why did they put split corrugated tubing on this? Well, to be sure. This wiring just sort of sitting flopping around loose, you know, not a big fan of that either, you know, like whatever. At least the connections look, that one looks reasonable anyway, but I'm not going to yank on it because I'm nervous about that. Okay, well, straight away, look, clamp missing off the fuel lines there. Let's have a look under the, check the other, oh, two together on one fuel line. So someone's messed around with this because those clamps are in the wrong spot. That one's broken, needs to be sorted out one way or another. Got the clamps and nuts there, that's good. Is the bolt on the clamp down there? Yeah, it is. What else? It looks pretty good. It's not really, it's not panic station. It's not really bad. It's got the long suction control valve, so that's good. Engine mounts, do they look new? Yeah, they look a bit cleaner than the rest of the car, so it might have been just engine mounts and it's still the original engine. The engine otherwise does look original. Just looking around. I mean, obviously we're going to have a more, hang on, the manifold may have been cleaned or something like that, because that clamp on that rubber hose there, right in the middle of the picture, see the mark from the clamp a little bit further in? So it sort of means it's been off at some stage for something. This has been bent out a little bit, shouldn't be quite like that, should be more like about there, not that it matters really, but just shows us that, you know, it's been worked on before. So that positive wire that comes across the top of there around here and direct to the battery with no fuse. So that's kind of a live wire waiting to short out somewhere in the body. So when you travel around big trips, Australian outback, and things vibrate and wobble around on loose roads, you don't sort of, get what I mean, loose things on dirt roads, corrugations. You know, this isn't really secured enough. Look, this, if that was zip tied in the right spot, I'd be okay with it. And I said okay, doesn't mean it's good, but it's not really bad, okay? It's sort of zip tied there. It's not hard to run corrugated split tubing over it though, and that's like, you know, your 99.9 with all the nines there, sure that nothing's ever going to go wrong, but it would be wise to put a fuse up this end also. What else can we see? Bit of messy wiring down there. Bull bar looks alright, that's all good. What else we got under here? What? So we were going to plug in and do a diagnostic, but we're getting no communication at the plug there, so that's a bit of another concern. You know, once the vehicles get older and people have worked on it, wiring and messing around, so that's something that's got to be investigated. We're not sure what it is at the moment, so that'll be a video on this one. Hopefully you found this a little bit entertaining. It's not the end of the world, it's not a rubbish vehicle, it just means there's some maintenance that needs to be done. The diagnostics on a 120 Prado we can trust, you know, with about 90% accuracy to tell us when the injectors need to be replaced. We can go around and fix all this stuff up, which costs money, or if we do the injector replacement job, that's the cheap insurance, basically, and while we're in doing the job, we fix up all these things, we'll find all the other problems and fix all that up at the same time. Yeah, don't worry about the oil cap sitting off. Oh, it's on now, it was off before, so we're about to do an oil change on it. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on, and if anything eventuates with this, there'll be maybe another video. Thanks for watching, see ya.